Welcome to the Nonprofit Exchange Podcast. Stories by leaders for leaders to help you raise the bar on your own excellence, to release the potential inside of you. Now, here's today's podcast. Welcome to the Nonprofit Exchange. It's Russell and Hugh again, and we're broadcasting live on Facebook, and we got some people with us on the webinar. We'll give a chance for people to ask questions. And usually we have a really special guest, and today is not an exception. Today, this is a brand new friend who I just met 2 days ago.
Only 2 days ago.
2 days ago. He's a pastor of a church here that's just making a difference. My wife and I went Sunday, and we felt like we were home. And it became evident to me. You know, Russell, we talk about leaders creating cultures and that the culture is a reflection of a leader. And I saw that really powerful manifestation on Sunday. There was gracious hospitality and there was spirited worship, and people were engaged, not only with themselves, but with us. And that comes from a leader being very clear on their vision. So our topic today is about forming a vision and then having that vision manifest itself in the organization that you lead. We're talking about a church today. Mm-hmm. This principle would work in any organization. It's just more powerful in this setting. So Bishop Younger, welcome to the Nonprofit Exchange.
Thank you, Hugh.
And we like people to talk about themselves for a minute. Describe, what brought you where you are today. A little bit about Bishop Younger.
Well, my name is Shante Younger. I'm from a large city. Well, I always say a large city. It was large for me. I grew up in a one-stoplight town called Gretna, Virginia. So I always tell people to give them a construct of how small the town was. We didn't have a name brand grocery store. The grocery store carried the name of the family who owned it. So there was no Food Lion or Harris Teeter. No Walmart. It was the Amos Fine Foods because the Amos family owned it. But I gained so much from that small town. It gave me a sense of community. I was raised with a great family, a spiritual family, a family who made things work. And so, yes, that's my upbringing. I think when we talk about leadership, I didn't know it, but I believe maybe the Lord was preparing me for leadership. All of my life, my grandmother always said that she saw leadership in me, that the kids were following me. And so there's always a discussion about whether a leader is born or a leader is made. I think it's a little bit of both.
Well, you took that mantle on, and blessings to your grandmother who said, you are a leader. Yes. And you said, okay,
right.
Let me at it. Right. And so you're in ministry. We're in Lynchburg, Virginia, and your church is a mile from where we're sitting in my house.
Correct.
And so what was your journey to start? Did you start this church?
Yes. I started this church actually 13 years ago. Our church will be 13 years old in about 2 weeks. So I've been telling everybody in 2 weeks it will be our church's bar mitzvah. It'll be our bar mitzvah.
And our friend is going to be here.
Yes, Dr. Kevin Williams.
Yes, sir.
From Greensboro, North Carolina will be here, which we met, just several years ago. I'm not going to say by chance, but by God's sovereignty. And we've been connected ever since. And look, he connected us.
Ooh. I'm a recovering Scottish Presbyterian. There is this Calvin predestination thing.
Right.
But go ahead.
Yes. Oh, yeah, we need 13. To talk about that one day. 13 is our bar mitzvah.
Yeah.
I came to Lynchburg not to start a church. I came to Lynchburg because it was my desire to be normal for one time in my life. All of my life, I've heard this stuff. God's hand is on you. You're special. There's a special calling on your life, which I believe it's on everyone. But I finally got to a point where I didn't want to be special because I believe the word chosen doesn't deal with being special. I think the word chosen has more to do with a responsibility. And I felt the weight of that responsibility. So I came to Lynchburg to run away from any leadership per se when it came to ministry. I went to school to become a school teacher. I came to Liberty. My major is English and my minor is history. So I just wanted to be a school teacher. And the Lord interrupted that. You know, I said on Sunday, the angel of the Lord comes and tells Mary, hey, favor is on you. Well, most of the time, the favor of God displaces your plans.
But you were paying attention.
I was paying attention. I was paying, fear not. He starts out with fear not. Anytime the Lord says fear not, that's because it's probably something that he's about to say that will probably scare the living daylights out of you. And we started the church in the living room of my apartment, my duplex apartment. 13 years later, we are an umbrella church for about 17 churches in the States, churches in India and a church in Brazil. And so God is doing some great things. From that small town, the Lord has taken me all around the world, preaching the gospel from Mongolia to South Africa, to Nairobi, Kenya, just all over the world, Canada, just sharing the gospel.
Wow. Wow.
And doing leadership training.
Oh, you were in Brazil 2 weeks ago.
Yes, I just got back.
What were you
on
teaching?
Saturday. I was teaching Habakkuk chapter 2. I was talking about vision and talking about leadership.
Oh, yeah. And so that's sort of what we're going to talk about today.
Okay.
I think I meet a lot of leaders doing a lot of different things. And as you may know, I served inside the church for 40 years.
You just told me that today. 40 years. Oh, yeah. My goodness.
I was very young when I started.
Okay. Yeah. Yes, it's still young.
Yeah. It's just scary when I look in the mirror. And that was I knew from a very early age, that's what I wanted to do.
Okay.
And I got a job that I had no qualifications for, which was music ministry.
Okay.
I had studied music, but I really hadn't got the qualifications for doing this choir thing. But I was serious about it.
Wow.
And I had a clear vision for that was me. That was me. But I meet a lot of leaders that really don't know. And they think, well, we're going to have the church. We're going to have the board. We're going to have the committees come up with a vision. And as I shared with you, a bishop that I worked with in Middle Tennessee said, I don't know anywhere in the Bible that God gave a vision to a committee. Mm-mm. That's the leader's duty and delight.
That's right. And that can be very controversial, especially depending on how people's church structures are set up. But I always have said this, the eyes are in the head.
Say more.
The eyes are in the head. So you must have a head. And anything with more than one head is a monster. And if there's more than one vision, it becomes a division. It becomes division. And Amos 3:3 asks a question, and I think we can answer the prophet's question. It says, how can two walk together except they agree? And that's in a marriage, that's in a business, that's in a ministry. And so someone must be the visionary or the one who casts the vision. Mm-hmm. Something happened and this was tested in me earlier because I was a youth pastor. I was a worship leader under my pastor, Bishop Hall, which is a great man of God. And he had a vision that we were going to move into a larger facility. And one Sunday after church, he says, I want everyone to follow me. All the leaders come with me. I'm going to show you something. And he took us to this building. It was this big warehouse on the side of the highway. And it was painted red.
Oh my.
And we walked in and come to find out it had been in a farming equipment auction building where they brought farm equipment in and they auctioned. So it was a huge building with a cement slab floor and it was painted red. And we walked in and he said, this is our new church. And I remember saying, Moses has brought us out here to die. I didn't see it. He was like, the pulpit is going to be here. It wasn't a meeting. He wasn't having a meeting saying, let's decide if this is our church. He was like, this is our church. Uh-huh. And I didn't see it. But that's when the Lord spoke to my heart, and I spoke it out loud, that the eyes are in the head. The eyes are in the head. And so I may be the legs of the ministry. Somebody else may be the arms. Our whole thing is to let the head communicate to us what he sees, and we're to get behind it and try to make it come to pass.
Wow. Russell takes in a lot of stuff, and he'll ask you the real hard questions. He'll come in.
Be nice to me, Russell.
From time to time.
I'm new.
He's a deep thinker. So, and Russell, I guess you've had the same experience. There's a whole lot of leaders that, well, it's either one side or the other. They got no vision. They want people to help them. They got a thing they do. Or they got it all chopped
All
up.
over.
I want to do all of this stuff.
Mhm.
And I mean, we know a couple of those, you know, we're going to do all of these things. So what your bishop did was, this is what we're doing.
Right.
He claimed it. He communicated it with enthusiasm. So
With enthusiasm. Right.
I could tell how you described it.
Mhm.
This is it.
He didn't say it with a question mark. I think some leaders make that mistake.
Mhm.
They come with a statement that kind of ends out grammatically with a question mark.
Mhm.
And it's hard for people to follow someone who's not sure about where they're going.
And people wonder.
And people wonder.
Why is nobody following me? Yeah.
He made it
They
with
wonder,
an
you wonder.
exclamation mark. Even if he was nervous about it himself, we didn't know it.
Let's unpack this vision thing.
Okay.
So it starts with the leader.
Mm-hmm.
And so there's formulating your vision. What was your challenge in getting clarity? Now, a vision is your concept. It's
Right.
identifying the why. You know, here's what we're doing.
Mhm.
This is what it's about. It's a concept, and it's defining the future really in a compelling, not boring, in a compelling way.
Mhm.
And it's very, very precise, concise, and profound. So what goes into that in your mind? How do you struggle in, or did you struggle, or did it just come to you?
I think all of us, you know, I struggle because the truth is God always does what he says he's going to do, but sometimes it doesn't look like what we thought it was going to look like. And so, Russ, we're constantly going back and forth. And this is why the Bible says in Habakkuk chapter 2, it first says Habakkuk went away to himself. He climbed up to a high place to be with God. And I think sometimes we're so overexposed to other people's lives and what other people are doing and how they are doing it, that it can actually be a distraction and obstruct our vision. And that's one thing about social media. Social media is great, but if you're too overexposed, you start comparing.
Mhm.
And the only challenge with that is all of us don't have the same assignment. And some of us may have similar visions, but the way about going about it God may take us a different way. And so the Bible says Habakkuk stood by himself, got from the Lord, heard the word of the Lord, and then the Lord told him to write the vision. And so that's why I challenge every leader, every business person, as you're getting it, write it, because vision is something here, but the first visible manifestation of your vision is when you write it. That's the first form of when it starts to become real. I mean, it's very real here, but the first form of it being made known in a physical form is when you can look down on the paper. And then he says, don't only write the vision, but make it plain. What do you mean, make it plain? If I wrote it, it's plain, right? No. The truth is, Russ, it can make sense to us, you know? And if somebody else comes, they're like, so what does this mean? It says, make it plain. That means it's okay. It must be some rough drafts going back on forth. Why? Because somebody needs to read it so they can run with it. And the challenge with some of us pastors and some of us leaders have made, and that some of the mistakes we've made, is that we were so sure about what we wanted, but we did not put it in a form where people could understand it. And leadership is not what you get accomplished, but what you get accomplished through the people you lead. So if they don't get it, you've dropped it. Okay, I'm talking too much.
No. Hey, Russ, he's preaching our song, isn't he?
You know, this all makes perfect sense. And, you know, nothing was ever created, nothing but nothing. Everything originated in the mind of God. We're creative like that because our mind is that mind when we're plugged in. And nothing, I mean, even the chair, the buildings that we're sitting in, somebody had to sit down and do a drawing to come up with a scheme for how this apartment is going to look, how your home is going to look, how condos, skyscrapers, everything. So it has to start somewhere. And on the topic of writing, give yourself permission to have a crappy first draft, because all of this stuff that you walk into a Barnes and Noble and pick off the shelf, oh, this is beautiful. it's probably been rewritten 8, 10, or 12 times to make sure that what's in there is clear and that the message that the author's trying to send you is clear, because a confused mind always says no. So the brilliance of what your pastor did was he took the group of you into that warehouse. This is brilliant, because I know that he